Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Diane.
He said it was because the rest of them all took. We have a nice group of people here who are very excited to see this presentation, and I'm thankful that you're all here and welcome. Well, I'm happy to introduce this morning our presenter, and this is Abbey, right? Abbey? Okay, great. I don't want to mispronounce. She is the outreach coordinator for the First Presbyterian Church of Johnson City, and they have a program called This Day. And today, when I said the Lord's Prayer, I purposely saw "Give us this day," and that's where it comes from, the title. Amy was born and raised in Broome County, and that is what fuels her passion for those in need in our local community. She believes that alleviating physical, emotional, and spiritual hunger within a benevolent community creates a sense of hope that spreads from one neighbor to another. She also believes the best way to affect change is through working together. It's Amy's personal mission that no one ever leaves this day empty-handed or empty-hearted. And with those lovely words, I'm happy to introduce Amy.
Thank you so very much for inviting me here today. So I'm just going to ask forgiveness now. I don't know that I've done a speech in a little while, so I do have some notes here. So the title of my presentation today is "This Day is a Good Day to Help Those in Need in Broome County." The First Presbyterian Church of Johnson City This Day program believes we only have one moment in time to help someone in need. Our mission is to envelop someone in need, those individuals and families, within a benevolent community. This day seeks to alleviate physical, emotional, and spiritual hunger through services that provide relief for critically unmet basic needs. I'm going to begin with a story, One Moment in Time. The man was found huddled in the stone doorway of the church. It had been a frigid night, and snow still clung to his boots and sweatshirt. He was trying to block the morning light from his face so he could finally rest. After being on the move all night to stay warm and safe on the cold, dark, mean streets, he had no energy left. He was quickly ushered inside. Hot coffee began to thaw his frozen body and guarded heart. He scarfed down the breakfast prepared for him, evidence that he hadn't eaten any time recently. He was given a warm bedroll, which he unfurled in the corner of the fellowship hall. Exhaustion overtook him, and he fell into a deep sleep for the remainder of the day. When he awoke, he showered and put on the clean clothes he had picked out from the clothing room. The outreach coordinator sat with him and patiently waited for the story that would come. After staring at the floor for several minutes, he said in a barely audible voice that he needed to go back to rehab. Together, they made the call. I'd like to share a little bit of history about the First Presbyterian Church of Johnson City. It has been shining a light on the corner of Main Street and Floral Avenue in Johnson City since 1892, providing hope, love, and support to its members and our community. It's the one right at the arch. Along with traditional Sunday morning services, the church also had a Wednesday night service. They began serving dinner on those nights to help families who were rushing from work and school. During this time, a man had begun coming to the church during the week to seek refuge from the elements. As I hear tell, he could drink more coffee than anyone else. He was invited to join the Wednesday night meal. He accepted and soon began inviting a friend, and then another friend, and then another friend. First Presbyterian Church of Johnson City knew they needed to respond to Matthew 25:35. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Verse 40, and the king will say, I tell you the truth. When you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me. Since then, the Wednesday night meal attendance continued to grow, and in 2016, it was officially opened to the public as a soup kitchen, which was known as the Hunger Outreach Program. In 2017, the program received certification by the Broome County Health Department, became a registered CHOW member, and was granted funding from the United Way of Broome County. In 2019, it officially became known as the This Day program with additional hours, staff, and services. Now I'd like to share Ronald's story. Ronald came to us for showers and meals. Ronald is a 67-year-old man who is in very poor health. He suffers from many ailments, including severe lung disease and dementia. He was living in a garage at our first meeting with no running water or toilet access. He desperately needed the prescribed oxygen that a doctor had recommended, but he couldn't get it delivered due to his lack of housing and address. Over several meetings, we provided referrals to Office for Aging and the Department of Social Services. We also provided him spiritual care at his request. Ronald informed us that he had procured housing and is receiving his oxygen and doing well. Ronald continues to call and keeps us updated on his progress. And we're very thrilled every time we hear from him. So now I'd like to share with you what this day looks like today. So today, this day is operating in full swing. The program primarily serves residents of Broome County and surrounding areas. However, all are welcome and all of our services are free. No one is ever turned away. We serve a free community hot meal every Wednesday evening throughout the year. Our doors open at 4:30 and we serve from 5 o'clock until 6 o'clock. When guests arrive, they can help themselves to drinks and dessert. We do this because we have no idea when someone has last eaten. Our guests are welcome to seconds and thirds and fourths, and we do our very best to ensure that everyone who comes empty leaves full. The program also provides groceries and frozen meals, clothing, hygiene products, showers by appointment, small household items, and advocacy. Needs that cannot be met on site are given a hand-to-hand referral to one of our amazing partners. We have 43 to date, and we are so grateful for each one of them. One thing that is unique to our program is that we offer on-site training for unemployed and underemployed individuals with obstacles to employment through a year-long food service trainee paid mentorship. In addition to tangible job skills, the trainees are supported on a personal growth journey, which allows them to learn communication skills, interpersonal and teamwork skills. We come alongside them and support them on their journey to where they go next. And the program could not do what we do without our amazing volunteers. We have students, retirees, parents, congregants, and community members who generously give their time to the program. I call them our wonderful volunteer family. Our volunteers serve meals, stock pantry shelves, hang clothing donations, and jump in anywhere they are needed. We are so grateful for them. One of the beautiful things that we hear from our volunteers is they know that they're giving, but they're also receiving the support from one another and being part of the community and being able to give back actually gives them something wonderful. Included in our volunteers are people who have been court mandated to complete community service hours. We welcome them with open arms as well. We are a program of second chances and third and fourth and fifth chances, because we all know that we've been given those as well. The overall goal of this day is to operate as a benevolent community. By this, I mean that we have no qualifying criteria. This day sees a need and meets that need. No one is ever turned away. And a benevolent community strives to give dignity and humanness. And it gives it freely without strings attached. The same strings that bind people to their helplessness and their hopelessness. It is the building of these relationships where change truly begins, first in the individual and then ripples into the community. Now I'd like to share Rachel and Rick's story. Rachel and Rick were referred to us by Roses of Hope. Roses of Hope is an outreach program that canvasses a community for homeless individuals to provide aid. They are literally boots on the ground. Rachel and Rick were found living under a bridge with their small dog, braving the elements the best they could. They entered this day with apprehension. This day immediately welcomed the couple into our benevolent community. They were fed a hot meal and provided with showers. They were loaded up with clothing, bedrolls, food, and supplies. As Rachel and Rick thawed from both the outdoor temperatures and unease about asking for help, they were able to share their story and reveal that Rachel was pregnant. This day provided referrals to Catholic Charities and the Department of Social Services. After Rachel and Rick had attended this day's Wednesday night community hot meal for a few weeks, they appeared at the door once more, this time with wonderful news. They had found an apartment with the help of Catholic Charities. This day celebrated with the couple and gave them more clothing, bedding, and small household items to help set up their new apartment. Rachel smiled radiantly, when she was handed a Christmas tree skirt. She stated that she was overjoyed to have a new home for the holidays. So one of the questions that I often get is, who are the guests of this day? My friends. They are your neighbors and coworkers. The people who sit next to you at Little League games, the girl who gets your coffee at the drive-thru, the mom who looks so tired while pushing her child on the swing at the park. And maybe, my friends, it's even you. In 2020, this day served 3,544 meals at our Wednesday night community meal. 27,711 pounds of food were received and redistributed. 4,861 additional services were provided outside of the Wednesday night meal, including but not limited to groceries, showers, emergency boxes, hygiene, and referrals. Please take a moment and let those numbers sink in. 3,544 meals, 27,711 pounds of food, 4,861 additional services. These numbers are continuing to increase. So meals served recently in the months of January, February, and March of this year combined rose 319 meals, or 33%, compared to the same time last year. And additional services rose by 225, or 18%. We also saw twice as many groceries and frozen meals given away this past March as we did this past January. This drastic increase, almost a doubling, can be attributed in part to the ending of the extra COVID-19 related SNAP benefits. With costs increasing across the board, and we've all seen it at the gas pump, we've seen it at the grocery store, we've seen it on our soaps and shampoos and necessities. Many people are struggling, and unfortunately, they're having to make very hard decisions. Do I pay the NYSEG bill, or do I buy groceries? This is Becky's story. Becky was referred to us from another agency. She needed food and was facing a NYSEG shutoff. After Becky had been welcomed into our pantry, she began rummaging in a large tote bag she was carrying. She stated, "I know, I've got to show you my ID. Let me find it." We responded, "That isn't necessary. We're just glad you're here and we can help you." Her whole demeanor changed. At first, she seemed bedraggled and wore out. Then, she became relieved and at ease, freer to share her story with us. We referred her to our connection at NYSEG for advocacy. Sorry, excuse me, I lost my place. And they were able to interrupt that shutoff. We then gave her food and extended an invitation to her and her family of 6 to return for our Wednesday night community meals, groceries as needed, and further advocacy if necessary. Becky has, in fact, returned several times. At one visit, heartbroken, she shared with us that she had lost her job when her boss of many years had passed from COVID. She was absolutely beside herself. We were able to refer her to another agency who was able to give her a job. She was elated and her hope was restored. She was able to take another step. I want you to know, while the facts that I shared are alarming, the beautiful thing is we are resource rich here in Broome County. This day is honored to work with 43 wonderful partners. And when we collaborate, our efforts are not doubled, but rather multiplied exponentially. We can do together what we cannot do alone. If you would like to join us in fighting the good fight, there are several things you can do. You can volunteer. I mentioned our fabulous volunteer family. We would be excited for you to join us. I invite you to contact me and set up a meeting. I'm happy to give you a tour of the program and discuss all of our volunteer opportunities with you. You can donate. We are grant funded and donated. That is the way that we operate. Everything comes in freely. Everything goes out freely. We do accept clothing that is clean, in good shape, and in season. We also accept small household items. No furniture, please. We just don't have that kind of storage capacity. And please contact me to set up a time to drop off a donation. We cannot take items that are just left outside of our building because we have no idea, where they came from. We treat our guests with dignity and respect, and we want to make sure that the items that we're offering them give them dignity and respect. If it's not something that, we would wear, if it was stained or, torn, we want to make sure that those items are not offered to our guests as well. And of course, you can pray. It is by God's grace and mercy that our doors are open. Please pray for our staff. Please pray for our guests and His provision to keep our doors open. I want to thank you so very much for allowing me to share our program with you. That, I realize, is an overview of our program, but I kept it short because I'd like this to be a conversation. There's so much more to share. And when, like I said, when we work together, we can do amazing things. So I'd like to turn it over to all of you online as well. Please ask some questions, make some comments. The best way that we can work together is by having a conversation. Yes, sir.
Do you have any connection with Joe Selapak, Broome County Council of Churches?
So yes, we do partner with the Broome County Council of Churches, and we have a great relationship with Chow. We get the majority of our food through Chow, and we are incredibly grateful for all that they do for this community.
He's an amazing guy.
Yes, sir, he is. Yes, ma'am.
This may seem like a strange question, but I'm curious what the size of your active congregation is. I'm thinking about our diminishing church. How big is your active congregation?
I don't want to misspeak on that. I, prior to becoming the outreach coordinator, have a home church. So I still attend my home church. And then once per month, I attend First Presbyterian Church of Johnson City. I believe that in person is a much less number than the number that's reached on the online streaming service. So I just don't want to misspeak.
Do you know how many of your volunteer group are members of your congregation?
Yes, we do know that. We do. So when I say that we don't have any qualifying criteria, so we actually don't take identifying information from anyone unless we're working a little bit more closely and we need that information for referrals. However, we don't keep it. It's hard enough for someone to walk through our doors, you know, that if we start peppering them with questions, it kind of brings them back a
Well, I
little
meant
bit.
your volunteers.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm a little long-winded in my answer.
that's all right.
I am gonna get there. But one thing I will say, data is funding. So one thing we do keep track of is all of our services that go out. And we do keep track of our volunteers. So part of our core group of volunteers are congregant members.
Do you know
And
roughly how many?
I'd say probably about a third of our volunteers.
I'm just trying to pin down numbers, thinking about issues we have here with volunteers, especially in food service. So can you translate that into
Maybe 5 on a given Wednesday. Of course, it ebbs and flows with people's busy schedules and things like that. And please forgive me, I'm not trying to be evasive. I just always want to be as transparent and correct as possible.
So you have a really wide spread of volunteers coming from the community.
Absolutely. Another core group of volunteers that we have comes from the APO from Binghamton University, which is it's a co-ed service fraternity, which always cracks me up a little bit, co-ed fraternity, but, I love oxymorons. So, but that core group of students has been with us since 2016. And I have to tell you, I affectionately call them the kids. I hope that they like that affectionate term. But I am so grateful for them. And I know that they don't just volunteer with us. They volunteer many places in the community. Then we also have, volunteers that are just community members. They just want to give back. I am more and more seeing workplaces are giving their employees hours to use as volunteers. That I just think is absolutely amazing. I have so much respect for those workplaces that see the value of coming into the community you know, not just having employees that come in and go home, but, you know, they're giving back in different ways. And I'm really very excited to see that new movement. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds as though you served your meal right through COVID. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How did
We,
you handle that?
it was all takeout.
Oh.
Yep, that was all takeout.
Is it still hot meals or?
Yes, to the best of our ability. I do want to let you know that I am newer to my position, so I was not there during that time period. I'm only going by the beautiful pictures I've seen and, of course, the stories that I've heard. But yes, we were very fortunate to not have to close the doors on that program. And I do know because we actually have we keep track of things like I had mentioned, and we have a 6-year meal comparison. And of course, we saw during those, you know, COVID years specifically, a real spike. So as we're coming out of, and my fingers are crossed and, you know, we're praying about that, of course, as we're coming out of those COVID time period where we were not able to get out, you know, we are still seeing those increases, like I mentioned.
Are you doing in person now?
Yes, we are open for in person because we know that a lot of people who come to our meals aren't just coming for the food. They're coming for different needs. They need socialization. They need something to think about. They need somewhere to go where they feel welcome and they begin to see familiar faces. So on any given Wednesday night, we have a lot of regulars. We are averaging about 85 meals served every Wednesday night, and we're seeing a lot of new faces as well. We also do see transient people who literally are just coming through. They hear from someone that we offer a meal, it's on their way, and they come in.
Could I just make a quick comment? Because I have to go, but we are going to reinstate our hot lunch, Sunday lunch, probably in the middle of May. So think about it. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. That's excellent news. Wow, that is great news because I do know that we have a sheet that hangs in our fellowship hall where our meal is served that has every meal Monday through, excuse me, I'm going to restate that. It may not have every meal. What I want to say is it has a meal listed for every day of the week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we try to get those flyers out to people who are coming, or we have them take a picture of it with their phone. That way, wherever they are, they can get a meal. They can get at least, 3 meals a day. And I am so pleased. I mean, we offer an evening meal, but how wonderful that someone else, like you folks, are able to offer a lunch, especially on a Sunday when a lot of places aren't open. I am very excited to hear that.
To expand on Bill Palmer's comment, we've been doing takeout during COVID. So we've never, thank the Lord, we've never been forced to suspend the Sunday meal. But it's not quite where we would have liked it to be and where it was pre-COVID. And per Bill's comment, we're getting back to a warm meal served in our dining room.
That is fantastic. May I ask, when I came in, I believe that I saw that there was a distribution happening. Is
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that's
what
wonderful.
we, been doing during COVID, and you'll see the tail end in COVID style.
Yes, well, that's okay. I'm really hoping to get to the COVID end. So,
Yeah.
yes.
I know the Endwell Methodist Church does quite a program on Mondays. And of course, they've done takeout, but a friend of mine, she takes the reservations for the people to pick up meals. And I think their food source is from
I'm sorry?
Elmira.
Elmira, interesting.
That's the food bank.
That's the food bank. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes, I know that they do great work in our community as well. I love to hear about all of the people who are stepping up to help those in need in our community. When I went back to school to finish my degree, One thing that I remember reading in one of the textbooks that made me stop was that there was a statement made about how in some communities, human service agencies do not work together. That blew my mind.
Not here.
And I'm so happy that that is an accurate statement. Not here. I have to tell you, and I wish this wasn't the case, but there are more than enough people in this community in need to go around. So we always strive at First Presbyterian to work together with people so that when we work together, we can meet more needs. When I think about that statement, I'm sorry, I just don't have words to say what. How I don't understand how people operate that way. But thank you for that comment, because the beautiful thing is not here. Oh, Sally. I'm sorry.
The showers.
Okay, that is an excellent question, and thank you so much for asking that. So part of how we treat our guests is with dignity and respect. Safety, again, I'm going to be a little long-winded, but I'm going to get there, I promise. We are all about safety first. That is safety of our staff, safety of our guests, safety of our volunteers. Our door is always locked. That's why we want to have the showers by appointment, because for our showers, we have a room that has 3 shower stalls. If you can kind of think of like maybe a campground, that's kind of a best way I can give you a visual. That's in one room. Outside of that room is where all of our hygiene products are, and we have a chair that sits there. A gentleman monitors a gentleman's shower, and a lady monitors a lady's shower for a couple of reasons. Number one, someone is always not in their room, but always within listening of someone who may have a problem or needs something. The other reason that person is there as a monitor is to provide privacy and safety. No one is getting anywhere near our shower facility without someone else knowing. So we are very, very much about safety and privacy for those guests who need a shower. We do not have anyone shower under 18, and we do not allow parents to have children with them. Those are just too many questions. I wish the world was not the way it is, but we have to be very mindful of keeping everyone as safe as we possibly can.
Do you provide the towels and the soap and everything?
We do. So part of the things that we do give are hygiene products. We're always running low. So if you have an opportunity and would like to donate hygiene products, we're always very grateful for that. But yes, people coming in, they don't need to bring anything with them. And a lot of times we try to provide, new undergarments. It's kind of like that is it Bombas commercial, that talks about, they give the socks. I feel like having new undergarments probably makes you feel like a new person. I will tell you that people go into the showers and there is a transformation that occurs. They come back out, and I believe that it restores their humanness. They just feel like, we know when we take a shower, like after a long day or a hard day, or maybe a really hot day around here, it does something for our soul to be able to take that shower and come out.
Now, are these showers actually built into the building, or are they portable showers that come in?
So these showers I can answer your question with a yes and a no. So actually, these showers were put in 2011. First Presbyterian Church of JC answered the call. They became a co-ed member, and please forgive me, everybody's got an acronym. It's community something active in organization active in disaster. So First Presbyterian actually became a hub for people, flood victims who needed relief. But more than that, all of the people who came to our community to go out into the community and offer flood relief. So people were literally staying at the church, and that's why those showers were initially put in, so that the people that were staying there as volunteers would have a place to wash off the day's emotions and, quite honestly, mud. But we were all here. So excellent question. Thank you.
Do you work with Showers for Hope from St. Pat's Church? You know what that program?
I have heard of that program. Again, I'm a little bit newer.
We have, through our mission and ministry, we have supported them, and there are several things. They're always asking for towels because they like to give a towel.
Yes.
Also always asking for small rather than large shampoos, which, you know, they can't, the small shampoos can go home with the person. And they set up appointments. But what it is a trailer with 3 showers, and they call them safe showers. So I love what you're saying about safety in terms of shower as well. You have a couple other questions. When you are serving your hot meal, what are your kitchen facilities? Are you using china dishes and silverware? Are you using paper with, you know what we do for
Of course, yes. So thank you for commenting about the showers, because that's wonderful. And we do try to do the same thing. We'll take any donation of hygiene, but of course we love the travel size, because if someone is carrying their house literally on their back, you know, we don't want it to be prohibitive for them to be able to take those items with them. But yeah, so our meals, we are serving them. I believe back in the day, they were served on china, but we have moved to disposable items, and that works really well for us. For 85 meals served, and that's an average. I want to say 2 weeks ago, we actually were about 105. We just don't have that kind of capacity, you know, to have that many dishes, but be able to wash them and care for them. So we find that, you know, the disposable, we have moved also to like the biodegradable. I mean, we're to the best of our ability. I'm going to be very transparent. If it's donated to us, plate wise, we're going to use it. But we try very, very hard to not be leaving a footprint. But that's how we handle that.
I'm curious about your relationship with Chow. Years ago, I was resource referral development at Chow for opening food banks and also referring people. And at the time, the only way that people could be referred to a food bank was once a month. And you had to take their name and so on. Obviously, that has somehow changed, because you said that you received from Chow.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Okay. Not that I want to step on Chow's toes at all, so I'll only speak from our end of it, of course. And I thank you. I just always want to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
So our relationship with Chow is we're able to receive food. Remember that very large over 27,000 pounds. The majority of that does come from Chow. I do know that Chow takes referrals when people call Chow.
Yeah.
And ask for food. I know that Chow is wonderful about making referrals to, I would assume, who is open. I would assume who is close to the person, you know, and I'll get a telephone call, and we do our very, very best to work with people. So I don't believe it's as stringent as it used to be. I do believe that meals that are, or excuse me, organizations that are connected with Chow, it's now increased. It's more than once a month. They want people to access, at least to be able to access twice a month. However, so we don't have any limitations. People are welcome to come as often as they need to. However, if we start to see someone maybe come weekly, that's when I'll approach gently and start asking some questions, because we want to get them the sustainable help they need. So that may be helping them fill out a SNAP application. One of the wonderful partners that we have is Family Enrichment Network, and they have a SNAP coordinator there. And so I have absolutely referred to her. Of course, Department of Social Services accepts SNAP applications as well, and helps people. So I think that we're moving, and really I can only speak, for us, but I feel like as a community, yes, we are moving more towards open access.
Hallelujah.
I agree.
What is the situation with the SNAP program now? I've heard that a lot of that is being cut out. So a lot of people are not able to get the SNAP coupons or whatever you get that they used to be able to. And I worry about what are they going to do? I just don't know.
Well, my friend, I believe that that's what we're here for. We consider ourselves a stopgap agency. And what that means is we fill in those gaps. I can speak to, what's out, the information that's public, and that is that in February, those extra COVID-19 related benefits were cut. I had people tell me at our meal, we were really depending on that extra benefit. And now that it's gone, I don't know what we're going to do. So then I say, we're open Monday and Wednesday from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. Those are our walk-in hours. Anyone is welcome to literally knock at the door. They tell us they're hungry and we feed them. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're also open from 10 until 2. And those are by appointment, because we want to make sure that we have, staff available on those days as well. To help, because of course, like I mentioned, we do operate under safety first. We have strict guidelines about our staff, how many we have to be able to open the door safely. If there's a time that someone knocks at the door and they haven't made an appointment, I realize this isn't very public, but I'm going to tell you, wink, we don't necessarily turn them away. What we'll do in those cases is if they need food, we ask them some questions, we go and get it and we bring it to the door. We try to do that by appointment, but goodness gracious, I don't know. You have to be a different person than we are, I think, to literally be like, sorry, we're not open. Occasionally actually we'll stop serving at 6 o'clock and someone, will come up and, they'll be like, did I miss it? And I'm sorry, you did miss it, but we don't send them away empty-handed either. Something you'll see on our flyer, Diane so wonderfully printed out some flyers. And actually, since I'm mentioning the flyers, if I may see a green one just for a moment, please, you're welcome to take one of our flyers. It details our program. I have my personal business cards with my direct information. I'm happy to hand that out to anyone because like we talked about, the people in need are our neighbors and our coworkers and maybe, somebody who was sitting at the pew with you. It sounds like you guys are have a program that's increasing, but you know what? Maybe they need clothing. Send them our way. We are really, truly happy to help any way that we can. But I am going to just take a moment. So I'll actually remember our Zoom and show this. We are partnering with Vines. We had one in March. Oh, beautiful. That actually works even better. But may I just have one? Because the dates all run together, don't they? Yeah. The days. So we actually worked with Vines in conjunction with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and we hosted a workshop at the end of March that was about plant disease and management. Who knew? That's all I've got to say. Lots of stuff I didn't know. But on Thursday, May 25th, at First Presbyterian Church of Johnson City, from 5:30 until 7, we are having another workshop called Grow Bags and Container Planting 101. Now, thank you. Now, my friends, I have to tell you, thank you. I need the 101 part. I remember being a little girl, my Grammy had a garden and she would let me pick the carrots and the rhubarb and, and the chives. Who here has picked chives right out of the garden, right? Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that, I think a lot of people don't get to experience anymore. So I'm very excited that Vines wants to help people source their own food, and it's fresher and it's more nutritious. So I'm pretty excited. So if you're like me and need a 101, please join us. If you just want the fellowship from fellow gardeners, please come. We are absolutely happy to help you. They do appreciate registration, and you'll see that on the bottom. That is, of course, the previous workshop was more of a PowerPoint presentation. The one that we're offering in May is going to be hands-on. Obviously, they need registration to know how much, soil or whatever they're bringing. They need to know how many are in attendance, of course. So I just do want to point out this is our flyer that you'll be able to take home with you today. You'll notice there are some beautiful pictures on it. That will give you a sense, our volunteers, some of the food that we provide. We have a clothing room also. So these pictures kind of give you, I always say, and if you're really curious, come visit us. For me, I know that I'm a visual learner. So I want to see things and I want to, touch things. But I believe that, like, I'm sharing the heart of our program today, but I'm inviting you to come and see it. It gives you a visual when I say our guests are treated with dignity and respect. Well, let me show you how we do that. So you're welcome again. Take my card, set up an appointment with me. I'm happy to give you a tour. Absolutely. And we truly believe that when we work together, we can do so much more.
Speaking of visuals, the Fishes and Loaves visual reminds me that I pass a little corner place on my way home all the time. And I think it says Loaves and Fishes. I see people going in and out carrying bags. It's at the corner of Mill Street and Vestal Ave.
Oh,
Do you know anything about that agency?
I don't, but I love that they're there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
that's run by the Catholic St.
oh,
John's.
okay. So JC.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you know, Sally, what they do or provide?
Well, they ask for donations from like grocery stores. George used to give them certain products for like spaghetti sauce and things like that. Then I don't know. I have a friend, Carol Breety, who is instrumental in doing that. So I don't know exactly what they do.
But they serve the community at large, I think.
I think
From what I've
anybody
seen,
can
people going
walk
in.
up and
And I don't think they're open all the time either. Is it?
no, it's like odd hours.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
so I'm unsure, about that. Whenever it's available, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say the amazing thing is I was born and bred here, born and raised. There are so many wonderful places that I don't know about. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I'm learning too. Diane and
I have several, but I'll ask you this one.
okay.
You mentioned, I'm so impressed because clearly your program has grown and extended into a multiple faceted agency kind of thing. You mentioned 42 excuse me, services or outreach that you can connect people with.
Mhm.
Just off the top of your head, what's a couple more social services you do clearly, but what's a couple of other things that you do in those 42 things?
Okay. So do you mean what are some of our other wonderful partners?
Yeah.
Okay.
Refer people to.
All right, my goodness. I do not want to leave anyone out,
Well.
but
Okay.
so please forgive me. I know that like we work with ACBC.
Oh, yeah.
We work with Mothers and Babies. I think it's Perinatal Network,
Right.
is their official name. I mentioned Family Enrichment Network, Family and Children's. We do work closely with a NICEAG advocate who's amazing. There's the Children's Home that was formerly known as Wyoming Conference for all of us who have been here a while. They now also have I want to say it's the Southern Tier Community Center down in Endicott. UE Central School District has just opened a family support center. So we're going to be partnering with them. Let's see, Rose's Home, whom I mentioned in one of our stories.
And what are they? I've never heard of that.
No, I haven't either.
Roses of Hope it's kind of a one-woman show, and she has partners that she works with. That woman amazes me. She goes, is a saying where angels fear to tread or whatever. What I love about partnering with her is that, we can be a home base for her. We can encourage her. She encourages us. But she will literally go out on the streets. She is looking for people. She is meeting them. Like we always say, we try to meet people where they're at. It's not our job to reconcile someone's life. We're here to meet those needs. But, she is literally and physically meeting them where they're at. And she has such a heart. I mean, just talking with her, she's, I can picture her face in my mind. She is always smiling. And she brings that to the people that she's helping.
I'm sorry, but I'm into a lot of this. I always like to take the opportunity, even to tell our congregation that our Sunday noon program began with one of our members who was heading to, at that time, the giant on Main Street right around here. And someone was sitting on the bench and he said, "How are you?" And the minute he said it, he said, "Oh my gosh, I've asked, now I have to listen." And the person said, "I'm not well. I am hungry." And he said, "Well, tell me more." And he said, "There are places to eat all around town, but there's never anything on a weekend." And so this was years ago. And he said, "Well, I'm going to get a birthday lunch for my child. Sit here and I'll make sure I bring something back to you." And that was the start. He came, he was before Al Ortiz, and most of us remember Al. He was before Al. He came back to the congregation and he said, "There's a need that we can meet." And that is how we began our Sunday afternoon program. And that has really gone on for years. The other thing is Vines is to me one of the most incredible programs ever. And we are fortunate enough to have 6 or 8 raised garden beds right outside here and have begun to work a little with Vines. And I think that this is an area we could really expand. Sometime, to know what you're doing and end up with fresh vegetables that maybe can't be used here, but we can share and so forth. That's where getting communication out about what, yes, we're all individuals, but as you say, it's spreading it out, working together. And, it would be a wonderful resource to know when we can't use all the lettuce, we've got a place to go and deliver it. So, it's just great to know what you are doing. We also had a used clothes closet, which I think the woman who ran that, and I'm saying this because maybe somebody will get inspired. And it was mainly used a lot for people coming out of prison and needing to have clothing. So it's just amazing what our little Broome County can do and has done and must continue to do and must grow and expand. So.
I think that is wonderful. Please do keep us in mind for the lettuce or the vegetables. Part of our dinners is, to the best of our ability, we try to serve as nutritious food as possible. Of course, we can be limited by what comes in.
Sure.
But I know that last summer we were able to source a lot, and even from Chow, fresh fruits and vegetables. What we don't serve, we have a giveaway table. So actually, I believe last Wednesday or 2 Wednesdays ago, just last Wednesday, forgive me. We pushed out onions. We've pushed out potatoes, tomatoes. I mean, the problem is, so I have 3 sons and they can all eat. Boy, oh boy. And I'm like, I wanted to feed them the best nutritious food that I could. However, a bag of Jacks was $1. A pound of apples could be like $3. Times that by 3 growing boys and my husband, and I got to take out a second mortgage. So I very much appreciate that. And thank you for sharing the story of how your program started. I think sometimes as individuals, we can feel really overwhelmed. What can I do? How can I make a difference? I'm one person. And, I think sometimes that's a lie that, that we're told. We know who that comes from. We can make a difference. All it took was one gentleman who asked, "How are you?" And you know what? I'm actually going to comment on the other gentleman also who was brave enough to say, "I'm not okay." Don't we all? How are you? I'm good, thank you. And then maybe I go and cry in my car. Or, maybe my heart is so broken, but I put on that smiley face. Those commercials on TV, with the little placard with the smiley face. We're all really honest with ourselves and each other. We all do that to some extent, So I'm thankful for the gentleman who said, "How are you?" And I'm really thankful for the gentleman who said, "I'm not okay today. I need some help." Because that is courage. That is courage.
I have to go backwards a little bit.
Sure.
I'm wondering, I get mail from Chow a lot and from the Food Bank of the Southern Tier, which I know happens to be based in Elmira. It's not here. The woman who was in charge of that for I don't know how many years, 12 years or something, is now the CEO at WSKG. So she might be one to contact because she would know stuff about that kind of thing. But I can't physically do what you do, but I have the resources to pay money. My idea is that I should pay Chow because it's here, as opposed to donating into the Food Bank of the Southern Tier.
Correction.
Opinion on that?
Correction, the Food Bank of the Southern Tier is very active here, and it supplies food to Chow and a whole lot of other places.
Right.
It is very much a Broome County resource.
But Judy, do you remember when Joe Selpak spoke to us, and he definitely would love to have Chow be the recipient? I mean, I know he's involved with Chow, but there was some reason that
He's ahead of it.
he received.
He's ahead of the Council of Churches.
You don't, were you there for his?
Yeah, there was some issues with Feeding America, which is also a source for, there were some issues. I think they're fairly much ironed out. I don't know that for certain, but it wasn't an obstinacy. There was some kind of issue with
Well,
the
they all
national-
do, they all do good.
Yes,
They all
yes.
Provide.
I think it's better now.
I think the thing that I'm coming away from this with is hope.
Yes, yes.
Because it always felt like there was a competition, there was an ownership of this is our block, this is our block, this is our block.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is that just regular people now can do a lot of what was controlled before. There was literally competition. Such as the Food Bank and Chow.
Well, it's competition for funding,
Yep.
a big time.
Yeah,
and
that's huge.
also- Yeah, and we like to support local as much as we can. And, And I give Council of Churches credit for trying with that grocery store.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
been in many times, several times. I can't say many. It's really, I don't know how popular it is with the people there. Or, I hope it does well.
But that was a real community effort. That really was involved all kinds of community
Yeah, it
partners.
was the desert.
Joe is the one that
Yeah, yeah.
was his start.
Right,
If it hadn't been for him, it never would have.
that's right.
Gone through.
May I just comment on that, ma'am? And then I love what I just heard, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. When First Press thinks about the things that we're able to do, we don't have the idea of, this is our block. We are a light shining on that corner. But you know what? If it doesn't come to us, but it comes to another agency or it comes to another food program, if it's all going out to the community, then that's great. Yes, that's the way we feel, because I wish that there was unlimited funding. And the unfortunate part is that, there is a small amount of funding and all of the agencies are vying for the same funding. And I think when I read that in my college textbook, I could see that that's where that would come from. It pits people against each other. And unfortunately, I wish that wasn't the case. I can tell you, though, that the partners that we work with, we are all like-minded, that we are working together to get it out in the community. So it's kind of like, the body of Christ. One person is the hand, one person is the foot, one person is the ear, but the body works together. I think that might be a good analogy for all of our partnership work together. Yes, thank you for waiting for me.
Oh, that's all right. I have all sorts of things. So if one goes on their website, does it say what you need above and beyond what you've already discussed? Like, one thing I've never heard, when I came here just back recently, I found it very hard to give clothes away. I had to go call, I can't tell you how many churches and did find, and Methodist actually. But like hangers, I have really good hangers. I could take up a whole closet full of just hangers that are empty. Do you accept those? So would that kind of thing be listed on your website?
First of all, look no further, my friend. We'll take your hangers. Because our guests, if they need the hangers, we allow them to take the hangers. And, if they don't need them, we do prefer they stay with us so that we can, but yes, we do take hangers. I'm sorry, at this time, we don't have a list. I'm going to take your suggestion, though, and think about how maybe we could incorporate that. I do know on our website, things that we're always looking for is hygiene products, like we had spoken about, can openers. You got can openers. Well, because if you consider it, I think of the poor person. You give them food and they can't get into it. I think that's cruel. Like in our pantry, we have like Pop Tops. I always try to keep a section of Pop Tops kind of separate, so that if someone is transient, we're able to give them Pop Tops. And a lot of that is living and learning, because I got to tell you, I would feel like, can I say the word jerk on Zoom? I feel like the biggest jerk if I gave somebody food that they couldn't even open. So, but yes. So at this point, I would invite you to please call me specifically about the items that you'd be willing to donate, because we are completely donation run. It comes in freely and it goes out freely.
Amy?
Oh, my gracious.
That was a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share this morning. And that's very exciting to me. Like my introduction, I was born here. These people matter to me. I went to school with people. I work with people, and they could be any one of us. So thank you very much for allowing me to share today.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Oh, you too. This day
Yeah.
is the day.